Hi, I'm Alan Webb, and I've been with this crazy event called Summernats since it started. In 2020, 33 years later, we've just come out of the Summernats we held while Australia was burning around us. And like the rest of you, we walked straight into the world-stopping coronavirus pandemic. During the first couple of weeks of this crisis, Andy Lopez asked me if I'd like to tell the story of Chic Henry and the Summernats. I asked Cam Sullings, a Canberra journo and presenter, to help me tell what we think is one of the truly great Australian stories. This is what we came up with.
What comes to mind when you think of Canberra, Australia's capital city? Maybe the fact that it's a peaceful, calm, pretty place where laws are made. Well, for 4 special days in January, Canberra becomes the complete opposite of all those things. It becomes a different kind of capital city, the capital city of noise. The capital city of horsepower. The capital city for burnouts, chrome, turbos and blowers. Canberra becomes the capital city of fun, whether it be with your friends or family. Yes, Canberra is home to an event like no other. Canberra is home to the Summernats.
Well, my name's Charlie Hutton. I'm a custom car builder from Idaho in the United States. This is my very first Summernats, and it's been a great experience. There's so many neat things that go on around here that doesn't happen in America. You got to come to the Summernats.
As the Summernats has grown, its reputation has grown right alongside it. Chic invited motoring superstars to the event to share their knowledge with our community. You heard from Charlie Hutton at the top of this episode, one of the world's top custom car builders. And Charlie said it, there's just so many neat things that happen here that don't happen in America. I'm Cam Sullings, long-time attendee and now presenter at Summernats. Welcome to the podcast. Chic Henry, his Summernats story. Let's welcome back Chic Henry. So I want to get to now the absolute epicenter of what Summernats is all about. Of course, it's about the cars, and you must have seen so many awesome vehicles come through. Let's dig down on some of the favourite cars that you have seen at Summernats over the years.
Well, I guess as things grew, the joy that I saw, that the effort people were putting into, there was a lot of very, very cool street machines that were the basic example of a street machine, but extremely well built. Out of the blue, something would arrive that would grab my attention. And in fact, some of the cars that I awarded my Chick's Choice to, sometimes they didn't fit any particular category, except that they got my attention. One of the early cars that I thought was fabulous was this, I'm pretty sure it was an LJ Tirana that came from Tasmania. And we didn't get a lot of entrants from down there, but then this car with the craziest graphics on it, just a beautiful, beautiful car. And in that time, graphics were becoming a very, very big deal. And that car was just so up there with the use of colours. And being an LJ Tirana, obviously the shape of it lent itself to the popularity of the car. And then there was a guy, I think his name was Todd Hallenbach. He had a really beautiful little Gemini, and I think he came from up around Tamworth somewhere. It was probably the highest profile 4-cylinder type car. As we know, it was the development those days of the, what we call the pocket rockets and the high tech and, the Honda CRXs and things like that when that all started to grow. But then out of the blue, this beautiful car that Todd put together was a lovely car. And then I walk around and here comes something that's closer to me. And I think this was a mate of Gary Myers. And it was, I think his name, Danny Musso. And here's Musso coming down the road in this bit of a ragged LTD Ford, but it had a big engine in it, and it was blown, and it had 2 Dominators on top of it, and it was sitting real low, and it was really angry-looking car, and I thought, there, I just love that stuff. People automatically think, I guess, that I'm only really affected by the high-end cars, especially the elite, but just out of the blue, something or other. And it was, I think, another guy from Tassie that had a Mini, a green one that came. That was a wild car, and it did well in the judging. Also, in the really early days, there was a guy turned up from Melbourne, and I sort of remembered the car on the track because it was a bit unusual. And he had it was like a GT Falcon limo, and he's out there doing burnouts, and that was pretty cool. Might have only been a year later. He got my attention. He was out the front. He hadn't actually come through the gate, and he called me over to show me his latest car. And it was a 105E Anglia. And for those that aren't really familiar with those little four-cylinder cars, they've got a sloping back window. Jet black, but the best part about it is when he lifted the bonnet and it had a fully polished twin-cam Alpha engine in it. And I thought, isn't this just the sweetest thing? And it was almost like one extreme to the other, from that GT limo to that little 105E Anglia.
Yeah.
And Owen, after a while, knew the sort of things that grabbed me. And, he'd grab me at the Elite Awards and he'd say, come and look at this, Do you see that 55 Chev over there? And I'd go over and I'd say, what, that red 56? He said, no, it's a 55. So, no, it's not, it's a 56. And when I got over there, it was a 55 Chev on one end and a 56 on the other.
Yeah. And so many high-profile people came to the event over the years. We've got a long list of names. But guys like Peter Brock, when Brocky came, it must have been amazing to have someone like him wandering around. And he was so good with people as well. He'd stand there and have a conversation with a complete stranger for 45 minutes and think nothing of it.
No, absolutely. At that time, I had Mobil as a sponsor. And that was how Brocky came there, and it was terrific. He was such an easy guy to talk to.
We don't usually pay much attention to V8 Commodore utes, but Canberra's Summernats 12 was the final public burnout of the Roman Autotech beast, and we were curious what all the fuss was about. Also on hand for the occasion, a novice driver with no previous burnout experience, Peter Brock.
What's his name?
Electing to observe first as a passenger, he seemed to learn quickly, then changed seats at the crowd's suggestion while they waited patiently for $6,000 worth of 20-inch tyres to go up in smoke. Brock gave the impression he'd driven high-powered Commodores before.
Peter Brock, the most famous Australian motor racing icon of all time. On ya, Brocky.
We heard from Lance Corby in episode 2 of the podcast, Race Bear's naming rights sponsor. Lance, I know you've brought Australian motorsports legend John Bowe to the event many times now. What does he think and love about Summernats?
John's a people's person and he's a motoring enthusiast all around. So he loves going to have a look at the cars. But to be honest, John loves people coming up to talk to him and he's fantastic for our brand because he's a great ambassador. He knows what we make. He knows the quality that we make. And he reinforces that out to the public. One of the hardest things when we're with John and we're trying to get him to, whether it's the presentations up on the stand in the Maguire's Hall or out in the arena, people just flock to him. And it truly amazes me that even the younger people know who John Bowe is. Incredible. The guy's just a motoring legend.
Chic, you spent some time travelling in the US to find a lot of the cars and a lot of the builders and show them what you were doing. Could they believe it?
No, because I always took over the DVD not the DVD, but it was the
VHS in those days, yes.
Yeah, those days, And the word had sort of got around a little bit because when Rick went back to the States, he spoke very highly of the Summernats. And I had some of the other pro guys, that were really on my case to come out. But the next person that I came across was Joe and Carol Casiumano. Now, they had a 57 Chev that was highly, highly customised. It had been around quite a while. It was one of the high-end show cars. But the thing that stood out the most to me was that the small block Chevy that it had in it had a 671 supercharger attached to the front of the engine. Right, so it had the blower that ran off the crank and everything, but down at the front. That to me was a unique feature. With the whole car, with the graphics, and then looking in the air, like this was seriously high-end car. And Joe and Carol were deeply embedded in the scene over there. So, for people to have conversation with them, and there was a lot of people that are deeply into the scene that when the car came out, they knew the car. The next person that I wanted to bring out, because I'd met Troy Trepannia years ago, and I mean, one of the cars that he was associated with was this, what sort of car was it? It was called Blowfish anyway, little car, and the crazy guy that owned it, and Troy built it up. Like, his engineering skills as well as the rest of the building, the car was amazing.
Yep.
And I thought, I might be able to bring out Blowfish. Yeah, that was a bit different with Troy, but it just wasn't available. When Troy came out, Troy, and as his dad, they were just people beyond belief.
Yeah.
Now, I had, what was that Chrysler that he had, that about a 51 or 52 Chrysler. He sat it on a Viper, with the V12 and everything in it.
Yep.
And the chopped roof, and it was real swoopy. And he was telling me that, I said, how fast have you been in? And he said he'd about 145 mile an hour and got a bit scared.
Yeah. From memory, I'm pretty sure it was a Sniper, right?
Because it was the Viper engine, but he calls it Sniper.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, that's the one. But he was an absolute hit, because the street machine scene, there's a lot more hands-on, high-performance stuff but done on the street. The hot rodders have got cool-looking cars, and there's no doubt about it, but the Summernats attracted people that really, street performance was a big deal to them, let alone super high performance.
Yeah.
And Troy that's where he was. And, I'm really glad he came out. It was good value.
Owen Webb caught up with Troy Trepannia recently. Troy's probably the best car builder in the world, having built America's most beautiful roadster, won the Battle Builders at SEMA, numerous Good Guys Awards, many Hall of Fame entries, and the Riddler Award at Detroit. It took a while to coordinate, but Troy and his dad Jack came out to Summernats in 2009, where they built many lasting memories with Australians, and in particular with Chic.
I think you remember this. Chic and we caught up with you and Jack in a bar in Detroit, and we had to wine and dine you and talk to you all night until you said yes to come to Summernats. So I want you to tell me a little bit about that whole Summernats experience.
Well, I've known you and Chic a long time, and always enjoyed the company, obviously. And I remember the meeting. I remember sitting there at the Crown Plaza, I think it was called at the time. Yep. I remember sitting there talking, and that was an exciting time, and the timing worked out. And I tell you, it was the funnest car trip I've ever done by far. So the Summernats were awesome. I grew up in the street machine world, where a lot of these guys involved in our industry today that weren't at DuCoin, they don't understand it. So that's kind of what the Summernats is to me. So I'm glad that I met you guys back then, and we stayed persistent, and I got over there, because it was a great family trip. And just to see all the guys, and it was amazing. The response I had was fantastic, and it was a great time. And me and my kids were talking about it the other day. And I mean, like I always tell them, go to school and ask them how many of your friends have been to Australia.
Yeah, mate, we loved having you, and I'm gonna work on you. I'm still working on you to get you back, so
I'll be there.
Want to get your hands on the latest Street Machine Summernats official merch? We're proud to announce the launch of our brand new online merch store that's packed with awesome gear. There's t-shirts, hoodies, beanies, bar mats, and more from your favourite past events. We've even remade the original Summernats 1 t-shirts. Classic! Grab any piece of merch for a limited time and you'll score a bonus bit of merch completely free. It's only while stocks last, and some items will sell out. So head to summernats.com.au now.
Well, my name's Charlie Hutton. I'm a custom car builder from Idaho in the United States. This is my very first Summernats, and it's been a great experience. There's so many neat things that go on around here that doesn't happen in America. Everybody told me about the burnout contest. So when I first got my first break, man, I beelined it over to see the burnout contest, and that was the coolest thing ever.
See, that photo with Street Machine. Absolutely. Look at that. Look, Mum. No head.
The Summernats is amazing, just because how excited the people are. The participants, and then just the spectators. You see, it's like a family event. And it's fun because, for the kids, it's exciting to see these cars romping and doing burnouts and stuff. And so it brings enthusiasm to the industry. You got to come to the Summernats.
Lance, tell us about the Rare Spare Legends.
Our Rare Spares Legends were brought about by a discussion we had around our boardroom table many years ago, and decided that there's not a lot of high profile out there for the people that really have contributed to our sport. I'll call it a sport. It's an art. It's a sport. It's many things to many people. The people that have really contributed hugely into the sport don't really get the recognition, or weren't getting the recognition that we felt they needed to. And there were lots of people out there, and Rod Hadfield, Owen Webb, everybody else that was attributed to that. It was just an important part that we felt that Summernats we're really proud of them, and so are the people around the industry for what they've done for us.
The event had so many elements of grandeur and so many really positive effects at so many levels, but there was also some not so good behaviour that was well documented over the years. What's your take on some of the higher profile, not so good events that took place?
Yeah, well, I guess I talked just previously about, that were greatly associated with all the Mazdas and the rotary Mazdas in particular. And in fact, a whole bunch of them didn't turn up in a bus, and they turned up at scrutineering, and everyone's gone into shock. But it turned out that the people that came down from Sydney, who very much were involved in that car culture in Sydney, the Rotaries, they were car enthusiasts, and they never caused any trouble. They were there to see the cars.
Yep.
We all breathed a sigh of relief about that. And then, when the Gypsy Jokers turned up and, had trouble with the Rebs from time to time, and, so there was a lot of stuff we had to contend with. But probably the biggest deal of all, the biggest ones, was the so-called riot that went on at Gate 4. There was a huge congregation there, always, because it's what was the main entry and exit point out of the grounds. And so all the entrants would be coming in and out of there. But of course, when they were leaving, there was a set of traffic lights there, and every time the lights turned green, it was like another drag race.
Yeah.
And so the spectacle of all the cars coming in and out of the grounds, irrespective of whether there was any bad behaviour, there was plenty to see. So there was bloody hundreds used to get there on that corner. There was a lot of bad behaviour there anyway, because people used to be able to drink anywhere they liked in public place those days. And of course, the favourite container those days to drink beer out of was a stubby.
Yep.
Anyway, they're all carrying on there, and the coppers had pulled over this rat bag in a Valiant, and instead of taking him up the road somewhere, they put on a bit of a performance there. Well, the crowd went crazy because they were all on the side of the guy in the Valiant. Somebody threw a stubby at the traffic lights that were there, and it hit one of the steel beams, and of course the beam goes pop, and so everybody's like, oh, this is good fun, so we'll all throw stubbies at the bloody, next thing the lights aren't working. Then somebody said, oh, the tree's dead, so we'll push it over, and it fell over so easily, and when it fell down, people got quite a big shock in actual fact that it fell so easily, and it was half on the road and half sort of on the grass. Now the mob have just gone sort of crazy, and cops have stopped the traffic flow, and people are running everywhere around on the intersection. And I'd heard the stuff on the radio, so when I got up there, it was mayhem. Now, it wasn't a riot, massive bad behaviour, but it wasn't a riot. Anyway, they're running all over the place, and then I'm up there with security trying to chase them away, and I was chasing a guy that had grabbed one of the yellow and black barriers and one of the frames, and I don't know where the hell he thought he was going with it, and as he ran past me, I took a swing at him with my left leg, trying to trip him, but instead of that, I kicked the bloody frame. Security guys came and got me off him. I was so angry, but anyway, we settled it all down. It was described as a riot, and it was a bad scene, and it didn't do us any favours, that's for bloody sure.
That wasn't the only time that you were sort of, front line as well. I know there was a time that you were actually dragged around some of the circuit.
Yes, unfortunately. I'm a danger to myself sometimes.
Yes.
And the security would go crook at me at times because I'd get a bit too involved. But anyway, I was standing there, and there was this Triple S Pulsar, I think it was. And he's done a bit of a burnout there, and it wasn't even much of a burnout, just spin the wheels and a bit of a screech. But I'm pretty wound up about all of this at the time. And so anyway, I've reached in the window to go crook at this guy, and I've copped a mouthful of cheek. Because he's given me a gobful, well, that's got me going. So I've got my hands around my left arm around his neck, and I'm reaching in to grab the keys out of the ignition, and he took off. And he's dragged me up the road, and I'm sort of trying to run with the car because I'm sort of half caught in the car. And when I realised that I was taking steps about 20 metres long, I thought, time to exit this position. And as I dived off the car, the back wheel ran over my right leg, dragged me along the road for a while. And anyway, so I was had a lot of bark off me. And anyway, I was so angry that I wouldn't even go down to the first aid dudes and see them until I was almost forced down there to get all fixed up. And anyway, when I got home, like I was quite a mess. Like I had big drag rashes on my shoulder and leg and bloody arms and everything. And I remember laying in bed when I got home about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm laying in bed about 6:30, 7, and Deb, my wife, looked over at me and said, "Are you okay?" And I was, whatever I said. And I'm laying there so stiff with pain, that because it was, bad news. But anyway, it turned out that those guys, in actual fact, they'd snuck in somehow. They weren't even entrants.
Yeah.
And they were caught stealing stereos and stuff out of cars, and they were doing other bad stuff as well. But anyway, that's another story.
Street Machine Summernats 34 is set to be one of the biggest horsepower parties Canberra has ever seen. Tickets are selling fast and discount entries are now open for a limited time via the website. And that's also where you'll find our brand new range of official Street Machine Summernats merch. Entrant and platinum passes will sell out very soon, so head to summernats.com.au to lock in your spot today. Cletus McFarlane at 24 is an American motoring identity. His 1320 YouTube channel has almost 2 million online followers sharing tales of all things wild, fun and automotive. A few years back, Cletus made his first visit and was totally blown away. So much so that he built his own burnout car and shipped it to Australia to compete in the Summernats 33 Burnout Masters competition. He made this year's pilgrimage following his first visit to the Summernats a few years earlier. And here is his first Aussie burnout experience.
Hell yeah, brother. You're on the Cletus McFarlane YouTube channel.
That'll be us in about a minute. So, we came to Australia. We knew we were going to end up getting pushed into a car and going out on the burnout pad. I'm about to ride. And this S13 is going to be out on the Summernats skid pad and do it for Dale. How much did you buy this for?
2,000 Australian.
This is Chris, he's the owner, and he's actually letting me drive this car later. I'm gonna do my first Australian skid. I hope I don't let down the team. And by team, I mean all of America, but you guys know I won't.
Do it for Dale. If we pop tyres, we jump out and we wave our arms in the air like idiots.
Yes.
And scream at everyone.
I 100% agree with that. If we pop the tires, we are getting out and celebrating. Oh my God. Holy crap.
You've got some wonderful memories, obviously, that go along with all of this as well. I want you to tell us about when you did a burnout and your granddaughter, you took her out for the first time.
Yeah. Well, see, I had a plan. And the Chevy was going really well and everything like that. And that particular event, and this is something I'm really proud of, and I don't think there's anybody that has done exactly what I did. And that is, I went in the city cruise on Thursday. Friday, I did the Go to Woe. Saturday, I did the grass events on the arena. Saturday night, did the
Super Cruise
on the arena. Yep. And Sunday, I was going to be first out on the track to do the burnout Sunday afternoon, right? And I don't think Andy and the crew even knew I was going to do it, but Rollo on the track and a couple of others knew it. So anyway, I've got the car there. So I'd already worked it out with Angie, my daughter, and asked if Lauren wanted to go for a ride. So we got her organised in there, and she's got the shoes and socks on, long sleeve shirt and a helmet on, and everything's cool. Anyway, when I took off, and I know I made good smoke because, that's a 600 horsepower engine. So, but I couldn't see where I was going. And anyway, because the smoke was blowing over the top of me, and I knew I was frying those bloody tyres big time.
Yes.
Anyway, I'm creeping down there, but I guess I can be smart ass enough to say that I know my car and I basically know what the track's like.
Well, you did build it, didn't you?
Yeah, and I knew that the tyres were almost done. But I didn't want to blow one of those tyres because those wheels are pretty hard to get off. You've got to jack the body up and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, I'd said to Lauren, now, if I say to you, get out of the car, just get out of the car. If I say to you, get out of the car, that means we've got some drama, and I want you to get out real quick.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got down, and I ended up probably about bloody 25 centimetres from the barriers. And anyway, we got out of the car, and Lauren and I stood at the front of the car and struck a bit of a pose. Got back in the car and off we go. And and I think Lauren enjoyed it because I sure as hell enjoyed it. And do you know who else enjoyed it? And that was Farm Truck, Farm Truck and Asian that came to the event.
Yeah.
Farm Truck was seen there waving and carrying on, and he was reaching over the fence with his fingers, pointing out how close I was to the fence. Anyway, I parked the car, let it cool down, went back and got it. And another big deal was when I called in the office later on, and I found out how many people had logged on.
How many?
To watch the Summernats.
How many?
Unbelievable.
It was about 5 million odd people, wasn't it, that was watching your burnout. Chic, we're counting through your top 6 all-time favourite Summernats memories. What's the memory that stands out for you as the second best of all time?
Oh, well, I reckon that the 2 grand champions, and that's a big deal. Fireball Campbell, I hated that, when I thought that he was, when he jumped the GT Falcon over the car, it was raining and he was like he couldn't get the traction and he landed in the middle of the cars. And once again, he crashed on a whole bunch of Volvos that I'd got from the guy up the road. And but I was walking across the arena. I thought I was going over to see a dead man. And then, as you probably already know, that the Saturday night and the stunts and all that was I get so much joy out of that. And Lawrence bought this Rolls Royce. We jumped that over up a ramp and everything, and because he wanted to save it, and he landed in these big cardboard boxes. And what happened was the exhaust system set the boxes on fire. But what we didn't know was that when the car landed, the doors locked. Because the order that still had, electric doors, and the doors locked, and we couldn't get him out. I got up there, get him out, and because they put the fire out, and then they're working on smashing the windows to get him out, and then the bloody fire started again. I don't know why I do this shit. Fair dinkum.
Summernats is the biggest horsepower party on earth, and the best way to do Summernats is with a Platinum Pass. Going Platinum gets you more than just prime shaded seating at the burnout pad. You'll also score an official Summernats merch pack, Platinum-only discounts, early access to the top 60, a fast lane to get into the venue, free parking and more. Platinum Passes sell out every year, so grab yours today from summernats.com.au and do the Nats in style. Street Outlaws is a huge program broadcast internationally through the Discovery Channel, featuring people who love building and racing cars. The cars and the characters are eccentric. Farm Truck and Asian are the stars of Street Outlaws. They race a 70 Chev long bed truck, featuring rusty paint, a camper shell, a million dents and a zzz number plates. This race-equipped truck is the ultimate sleeper. Farm Truck first got interested in trucks from riding in his father's 1956 Ford pickup when he was 12. Farm Truck and Asian have been guests at the Summernats a couple of times now, and like all of those before them, they were blown away. They were converted. They fell in love with the event and the community that makes it. We caught up with them at the end of Summernats 31, and it pretty much sums up the way most outsiders feel after going to the Nats for the very first time, and gives an insight into the people behind the cars, the spectators, the builders, the families, the organisers. Their family is unique, so caring and welcoming, but absolute lunatics at the same time.
You know what? Summernats may be done, but in our mind, it'll never be over. It will never be over.
We've learned that you guys know how to party.
Oh, yeah. You guys know how to party with horsepower. You guys have mastered that. That's for sure. Hey, we have our Summernats makeup on.
Yeah.
All right? It's applied with horsepower.
This is a rite of passage. When you walk out looking like this, man, you've done something.
You know what? It's like we've been in a war. But everybody's on our side.
Yeah.
And everyone here was so gracious, so nice, so kind, and they welcomed us to this country. It's been amazing.
And you know what? We thought we were crazy. They called our crazy and raised it.
Oh, yeah.
That's what they did. So what we're talking about is the greatest motorsport rivalry of all time. Bigger than Hamilton. Lawnmowers. Not bigger than, what's his name? Hamilton, Verstappen, or Vettel. Bigger than Whincup and McLaughlin. It's Australia versus America. America.
Oh, mowers out here, brother. Listen, mate, we mow our lawns every day.
They can't do burnouts and they can't mow lawns. Cletus heading up an all-star American team of absolute nobodies, and Shannon Knoll and the Myers father and son team taking him on in what is the most glorious of motorsports, modified lawnmower racing. The lawnmowers, they can top 100 kilometres an hour, which basically means they can do a quarter acre block in about 4.5 seconds.
Flag straight on!
The Summernats is Chic's life achievement, but inevitably his time had to come to an end. Delivering an event of this magnitude takes its toll, and eventually we all find the need to move on. In our final episode, we hear about this transition and how much emotion and passion Chic has invested over the years, and how proud he is of what the event has become, and how grateful he is of the people who supported him. We also hear about the transition to the new owners and the responsibility they felt and Chic's ongoing role. Planning on being part of the world's wildest car festival but haven't got your entry in? Entries to Street Machine Summernats 34, proudly supported by Rare Spares, are limited to 2,000 and will sell out very soon. With limited entrant passes remaining, some people will miss out. So don't delay. Head to the website and lock in your spot before they're all gone. And we'll see you at Summernats.